Please note that the views expressed on this program are those of the individuals who speak them, and not necessarily those of Portsmouth Community Radio, its Board of Trustees, members, volunteers, or underwriters. Good evening and welcome to Spirit Radio. I am your host, Willie Hassell. Along with my co-host, Lynn Nickerson, we will take you on a journey into the unknown where the paranormal becomes the normal. A journey to a world cloaked in darkness where reality becomes a thin veil. So sit back, relax, and join us as we venture into the shadows, the darkness, the unknown, and back. And good evening once again, and welcome to Spirit Radio, the Paranormal Experience. I am your host, Willie Hassell, your gatekeeper to the dark side, your guide to the realm of the unknown, the unseen, the unthinkable. And she is always the lovely, she is the mystical, she is the mysterious.
And perplexed.
Perplexed?
Yes.
And the perplexed. Lynn Nickerson, good evening.
Well, good evening. How are you doing?
What are you perplexed about?
Oh, various things, whatever's in the air. Didn't we have a nice time today? And it's going to continue into tomorrow. Today is the Exeter UFO Festival, the 50th year anniversary.
That's right.
Of the UFO, the incident at Exeter sighting.
Yeah, so that was a good time today. And as you said, yes, it continues tomorrow.
Yes, interesting speakers and our good friends, Paul, and I'm not sure if Ben's going to be there, but Paul's speaking tomorrow. Yeah, Ben is going to try if he can make it out of work in time. Yes, let's hope he can. But Paul Eno definitely will be there. Yeah, it's great speakers, some great information, a great time had by all. Had by all. And I even have a picture of Willie with an ET. Very, very cute. Well, Willie... The world will see it tomorrow, maybe. Maybe Willie is an ET. We don't really know. The jury's still out on both of us. It could be. This was a green version, though. This wasn't your typical gray. This was a green, huh? Yes. Okay. The grays are now green. Green is the new gray. Green is the new gray. Okay, I'll buy that. Okay. And I will also introduce tonight's guest. I think that's probably a good idea. I think it probably is a very good idea. And once again, tonight, it is our pleasure to have joining us in the studio our good friend, Shane Sirois. With over 25 years of experience and thousands of investigations to his credit, Shane is one of New England's top paranormal investigators. Over his long career in the paranormal world, Shane has helped many people, not just throughout New England and the U.S., but around the world with his unique gift. He uses his intelligence and scientific abilities, along with his understanding of human nature, to diagnose and help the people as well as the spirits involved. And Shane is joining us once again on Spirit Radio to talk about a couple of his latest cases. And he's right here in the studio with us. Good evening, Shane. How are you?
I love being here.
Hi, Shane. Welcome back. Our pleasure.
Okay.
So.
Now that I got him on the right mic, we can hear him better.
Oh,
that's good.
There you go.
Now I can hear myself better.
Coming in loud and
helps,
clear.
Doesn't it?
Well, we were lucky to get Shane here on sort of a short notice, and
I know it. Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Oh, I would any chance.
Our
any
pleasure.
Chance. I love coming on your show.
Well,
and it's a coincidence. We love having you too.
Ditto.
It works out.
You always have great stories to talk about with us.
So I'm hoping that we can embark upon one right now. You had discussed with us a couple of cases that you were working on. So, one would probably fill up the whole show.
Right.
There was, of course, the psychologist, and then there was the other lady in, was it Connecticut?
In Connecticut.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, which one would you like to start talking about and apprising us of?
The one in Connecticut. The
All right.
The other one is one we'll talk about coming up, in a a few weeks for.
Okay.
And we'll have Paul in, and because
all right, sure.
Paul handed that off to me, and but this one was in Southern Connecticut, and it was quite the case. It was handled by, or there was several other investigators that went in, some pretty well known, and actually on one occasion very well known,
with a TV show type well known, huh?
Yeah. So and it was both groups in two occasions, they all tried to go about it the same way in handling the problem. They went in there, they asked what was going on. The lady of the home, 72-year-old woman, she described what she was experiencing, and they immediately said, well, it's not good, it's evil, demon, whatever they call it. And they said, so this is how we're going to do it. And they all went about it in a religious type of way, to treat the problem. And so the lady said they were very nice people. They were there to try to help. And on one occasion, she felt really good about a little prayer session that they had, but it never worked. It continued to get worse. Right. And
do you want to explain what was happening to her to begin with?
Yeah. She's experiencing being grabbed by the feet, being pulled down towards the bottom of the bed. She was being sexually assaulted, and there was at one point,
and she couldn't see anything. Is that right?
Right, and she could tell there was something running around her bed or walking around her bed, but also something in the bed with her. And at one instance, there were puncture holes that just appeared in her leg.
Did it draw blood?
I believe so, yeah, because she talked about scarring and stuff like that. But
wow.
And at one point, she woke up where she could feel. She was sleeping, and she woke up, and she could feel the mattress moving up and down. And she went into the bathroom, and she had some bleeding. And so things of that nature. And so what these other groups went in, and what they did was they said, okay, well that's not good. So, that sounds like a negative thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to start praying. And, what we find is that rarely works. Religion's gonna work if it helps us to find peace in our heart and helps us to maintain that peace in our heart. Then we can go through life without letting things affect us and change our internal dialogue into a negative fashion. So this woman is religious, but and she has been religious in her life, throughout her life, but that didn't disallow this connection to take place. So something drew this thing in, and even with the religion. So why would the religion be used to get rid of it? It's not going to, because it was there to begin with. So what we have to do is we have to reverse engineer her haunt, and that's what I do that no one else does in situations like this. I have to dig into. She's lived in this home for a while. Why all of a sudden?
Yeah, something has happened.
And
obviously.
we pinpointed those things.
Okay.
But these other groups, they went in. They prayed with her. At one point, she said there was a real nice guy. He was part of a group that belonged to a very well-known lady of the in this field, and she sent the group down. And he asked to put his head against hers. They had their hands on each other's shoulders, and they did a prayer. And she said she felt wonderful. It really made her feel good, but it never helped. This thing just started in again, because those prayers aren't going to pinpoint the root cause of her haunt.
Do you think it has something to do with her kind of abandoning her faith, whatever that may be?
No, the faith works for a lot of people, but it works when it helps us to find and maintain peace inside our heart, with whether it be bad memories or things that we're going through in life. The problem with certain people going after religion, and I find this in a lot of cases, is a lot of people that I deal with that they say they are religious, they entered into religion for divine intervention because they screwed their life up so bad that they didn't have any other way. So they're looking for something to just magically fix it, and so what they do is they project the need for divine intervention, but they're also projecting negative thoughts and negative energy, and that's what's attracting these parasites in. What people call demons, poltergeists. I call parasitic entities because that's their nature. That's how they act. They feed off of those negative environments. So I go in and I bypass religion. I bypass all these tools. I have to reverse engineer their haunt because every haunt is different. The thing that allowed that interaction to take place is different for everybody else. So I have to go back in. And this is why I caution, just random people from doing paranormal research when it comes to helping people. Like if you're going to go into an abandoned building or a haunted restaurant or a graveyard, that's one thing. But when you tell somebody that you can help them with their life, in their haunting, in their home, you have to know how to do so many things very well. You have to.
That is a lot of responsibility to
Yes.
take on
It really
something
is.
like that.
So there's with these the popularity of these TV shows, now everyone thinks they can do it because they see this stuff on TV. Most of these TV shows, I haven't seen anybody on these TV shows that knows how to do these things properly. So you have to be extremely good with psychology. You have to be extremely good at interviewing people and picking up and feeling their emotion. So when you're interviewing, you have to be good at asking the right questions, and you have to be able to see what's striking the nerve the most, because we're so good at lying to ourselves about what really bothers us. And so we can mask that to ourselves, and we can mask that to everyone else. So you have to be able to decipher what are they telling, are they just making something up to mask something, or and then find the things that they talk about that really seem to strike a nerve, and you got to dig into
Their
that
weakness that
Yes.
they're denying.
Right. So with the case of this case in Southern Connecticut, it turns out that she's being attacked by this entity the same way she was assaulted by her father growing up. Her father molested her growing up, and he did it in the same very way that this entity was attacking her, and that's what they do. So what happened, what stimulated this whole thing, and this is what I ask people. Okay,
Yeah.
you've lived here for X amount of years. You've lived here, but it wasn't haunted the whole time.
That's right.
Okay, so now that's
What happened?
That's what everyone ignores. They just think, oh, it's negative. Let's get a Bible and stuff like that. But that is just ignoring the proper responsibility of us, and just giving it all the power to the religions to just fix the situation, when really it was caused by certain thoughts and feelings of the person that attracts these things in. So this lady, she's living in this house, no problems. I believe they said that her second husband, she was caring for him. He was a diabetic. He was also an amputee, I think, in one leg.
Yeah.
So she had a lot of time spending with him, caring with him, and also companionship and everything. When he passed away, that's when everything started to really kick up.
Really?
Yeah. So when we're occupied and we're doing something, we're giving of ourselves, or we're just occupied in general, we're less likely, to attract these things because our thoughts are elsewhere. But once that's why people notice this thing, this stuff more at night or during, sleep onset or whatever, is because we're at rest and we can't control those thoughts that we've been hiding from ourselves. So, these thoughts are in there, these feelings are in us, and we have nothing to distract from it. So that's when we start, these things start to creep in, and it attracts these things. And so she's at home. She doesn't have her companion anymore. And of course, I'm sure she's upset about that. And then she also has these memories with her father and everything else like that. And so this thing, we project. Our thoughts have frequency. We project that out, and these things start attacking her in the same very way that she was thinking about, and it was just awful. So that's how we go about identifying that connection. That's what initiated those connections was, losing her companion. This point, she's had, situations throughout her life, but this time it was, once that happened, then it all kicked up. And also one night, she was experiencing so many other things. She felt like there was something moving inside her.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, like something in her back, and then also, so her daughter spent the night one night, and they're both laying on their back, and the daughter took one of her legs and actually wrapped it around, like threw it over her mother's legs, because the mother she gets pulled every night, or grabbed by the feet, which her father used to do. He used to sneak up by the foot of her bed and grab her feet and slide her down towards the foot of the bed.
And that was happening every night, you said?
With the father, or with
the...
It was happening a lot, yeah.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. So...
So the daughter wrapped her legs over her mother.
Right, and then all of a sudden, they said just like a head up underneath the sheet near their feet rose up, and it was sliding up towards them. And the daughter saw it, and she knew this was very much real. This is really happening, and she believed her mother to begin with, but this was just like boom.
When it becomes personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, they had the other groups there, wasn't working, and thank God that I was able to make Bill's book signing, because when I went to for the Haunted House Diaries, which everyone can get a copy at WilliamJHallAuthor.com. That's WilliamJHallAuthor.com. But his book release, book signing, I went down to Milford, Connecticut, and I ended up speaking to a bunch of patrons and stuff that were there for the book signing, and somebody, liked what I had to say, and they knew of this family and referred me. So that's how I was put in touch with them. So,
well, Shane, just knowing some of the events that happened to her, the 72-year-old woman, since the daughter saw this, so that we know that there's something actually happening, what are your feelings as to who that is? Do you feel that it might be her father, or do you feel it's a negative entity reenacting what her father did to her, because that is one of her weaknesses?
That's exactly what it was. I don't think it was her father. They attack your weakness. They know what those things are.
That would have been my feeling.
Especially if it's in your mind, and you haven't gotten over it. So we have to work through those things. One of the groups there says, well, it's happening because you have to forgive your father. And I said, you know what, for me, absolutely not. You don't have to forgive him, but you have to find peace in your heart.
Yeah, you have to move beyond it.
And move beyond it, and see the beautiful home you have, and the lovely granddaughters, and your daughter, and the life that you built for yourself, and look at the positive things in life. And she's a strong woman, and so we can't let things like that, because she had described thinking a lot in her life, fearing that those acts that were put on her were going to make her turn out to be a bad person, and she's not. She's a wonderful woman, and so this is the way that it affects us. It stays in our internal dialogue. We can't let it control that. Can't let it control your internal dialogue. You can't let it control your daily functions and your routines, and because once you let that happen, it's got you. It's in control, and we're actually more in control of its ability to stick around than the other way around. Yeah,
I suppose in a way her attitude would be feeding it. But my next question would be, how does she go about changing her feelings about this? Last night she was attacked, and she's short on sleep, and she wants to get to sleep, but I'm sure when she goes to bed, she's fearing that it's going to come back again.
Right.
How do you get beyond that so that you can start working on yourself and not fear these visitations?
That's the biggest obstacle for me is selling that to the people, because it's absolutely 100% accurate and true, and it's never failed not one of my clients. So the biggest thing is getting them to understand that what I'm saying is accurate. So
getting them to believe it.
Right. Because we're so preconceived. We see TV and how to me,
so misrepresented.
Yes, the way they go about things and all these other, it's prehistoric. It's just like way obsolete. And,
well put.
and everyone ignores the fact that they all go to tools. They go to treating something they don't understand with something that they don't understand. So you're fighting the paranormal with the paranormal. You don't understand either aspect. So you have to understand the mechanics of the haunt itself. And in order to identify that, you have to be able to reverse engineer their haunt, but to identify the root problem. In a negative haunt, it's always going to come down to something that initiated that interaction, and it's always going to be something that was life-changing or traumatic. So you have to get back to that, and it's hard for a lot of people to talk about. Sometimes it takes me digging a lot and knowing the right questions to answer or to ask. I mean, but we have to get to that, because so many times I ask, I've lived here for 11 years, it's only been haunted for 2. I've lived here for 30, it's only been haunted for 3. So we have to get back to, so what opened that door? What initiated that interaction? Yeah. So, and there's always something, and then we treat that. So you have to be good with people. You have to be good with, counseling them through an issue, and making them understand that it's not just in their head. It's not just because of this issue. You have a real legitimate parasite in your house now, but this is why you have it.
Yeah, you've drawn it to you. So, how many times have you visited with them?
Once.
With this one? Just once.
2.5 hours.
How long has it been now since you were there? 10 days or so, or 2 weeks?
No, I went there last Sunday, so 6 days?
Okay, so she's making progress?
As far as I know, they sent me some emails several days in a row, and
thanking you and saying they were working on their positive attitude. I saw that.
Problem free, no issues. And she was having them nightly. She wasn't sleeping.
Nightly, wow.
And and that's another thing too. Is when we're having a hard time sleeping because these things are happening to us, or we're also in fear of something happening, so it keeps us up.
Get beat down.
Yeah. So, but then what also happens when we become extremely overtired, what can happen when we're extremely overtired and anxious and stuff is we can experience sleep paralysis. She experienced sleep paralysis, and a lot of people associate that with trying to be something's trying to possess them, or this or that or the other thing, but it's an actual, that happens. We have what's called atonia, and there's a chemical that's sent out to paralyze our structural and our muscular functions, so we don't act out dreams and hurt ourselves, such as the case in extreme night terrors where people run through walls and smash through doors and stuff. So our bodies put this chemical in place to paralyze that function. So, but when we get extremely overtired, also some people with alcohol abuse or other substance abuse, but usually it's that we're not getting proper sleep, that we end up breaking out of a sleep, but that is an effect. We're paralyzed, we can't talk, we can't sleep, and we're also kind of in a hallucinatory state. Yeah. And so and it is freaky. It's happened to me, and
it's happened to me once.
Yeah,
once.
I never realized it was a chemical.
Yep, they just identified the chemical like 2 years ago. They named it, and I'm tired right now, and I can't think of the actual name of the chemical. But they used to call it the state of atonia is what it is. But there's an actual chemical that's released inside your body. And I forget which university found this out, but
does it have something to do with keratin?
I'm not sure. No, I don't think so.
No.
But it's a real deal. I mean, and it is freaky. I'll tell you, because I've had it happen to me quite a bit, and it will. I mean, I was lucky enough to know what it was. So, what you do is you kind of like you just focus on your breathing and you come out of it. The harder you try to fight it, the worse it gets, it seems. So, but she experienced that anyways a couple times, and also. The creepy crawlies, she says on her legs, RLS or restless leg syndrome. Yeah. So sometimes we can associate little things happening to the paranormal because we're having the paranormal happen to us. There's something messing with us. So we take and now all of a sudden everything is about that situation.
The paranormal.
The association just becomes that everything is associated with it, and but her creepy crawlies because of, she was being pulled by her feet. It may not have been RLS, but but it's just something that we can talk about and identify and just say, but she, very open to what I had to say, and sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 at the hardest to explain to these people, to get them to kind of change their thinking, unlearn what they think they know, and listen to me, and then we heal it every time. But
change their mental paradigm.
But she was very open, and she, very, like I said, they're very intelligent women, and they grasp right onto it and doing a great job. I mean, and they've been problem free.
Oh, that's terrific.
That's great. We're almost at the bottom of the hour. I did want to go back a little bit. The puncture wounds in the legs, were they like teeth marks or just like pinprick punctures? Or?
We can ask when they, if they call or whatever, but they, I think if I remember correctly was that, there were multiple witnesses or whatever that they just appeared in her legs, like 2 puncture holes or whatever. So I'm not real sure. Like, I don't get too far into those types of details because I just mostly focus on the personality and certain other mechanics. The nature of it all. Yeah, that's how I know how I have to deal with it. So
okay, well, since we're approaching the bottom of the hour, we're going to take a short break here, and when we get back, we're going to be talking to Shane and hopefully his client about sleep paralysis, maybe about nightmares. Actually, night terrors is more of what I'm thinking, as well as just regular paralysis. We're talking to Shane Sirois of TruthGhost.com, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Supernatural Magazine, the UK's newest paranormal magazine, provides support to Spirit Radio, the Paranormal Experience. It is the magazine's goal to bring every aspect of supernatural news and research from around the world under one roof to create a universal platform for all those interested in the supernatural. More information is available at supernaturalmagazine.com. You are listening to Spirit Radio, the Paranormal Experience on WSCA 106.1 FM, and we'll be right back after this short break.
And you are tuned to WSCA 106.1 FM in Portsmouth's West End, where programming is made possible by you, our members, and by One Sky Community Services, serving people with developmental disabilities, acquired brain disorders, and others in need of support since 1983. And they are online at oneskyservices.org. And from the community calendar, the New Hampshire Art Association is one of the oldest statewide artists associations in the country. In Portsmouth, the group operates the Robert Lincoln Levy Gallery, located at 136 State Street. The gallery hosts a variety of art shows throughout the year, and all shows are free and open to the public. Gallery hours are Wednesday through Saturday, 10 p.m. and 10 to 5 p.m., and Sunday noon to 4 p.m., or something like that. Additional information can be found online at nhartassociation.org.
Did that hurt?
Well, it wasn't really.
It twisted your tongue, didn't it?
It wasn't actually painful, but it wasn't too enjoyable either. So let's see if you can do a better job.
I'm going to see if I can do any better with the upcoming guest list. Okay, this has been revised. Starting September 12, we're welcoming Richard Estep, and he's a British import now living in the U.S., and he is an EMT who's written about his ghostly investigative experiences garnered from both the U.S. and the U.K., and we'll be discussing his new book, In Search of the Paranormal, The Hammer House Murder, Ghosts of the Clink, and Other Disturbing Investigations. September 19. Another cryptoid creature, which we haven't covered yet to date in our conversations, is the chupacabra. In one of his latest releases, titled Chupacabra Road Trip, author Nick Redfern will tell us what he knows about the subject. September 26th, we're welcoming back Ken Gerhardt of Flying Humanoid fame, and he's also the featured lead in his new show titled Missing in Alaska, as seen on the History Channel. And the show covers such topics as body snatching, mystery on Mount Hayes, man versus hairy beast, and many other mysterious topics indigenous to Alaska. On October 3rd, our regularly scheduled guest is once again Shane Sirois of TrueGhost.com. And Shane will return to follow up on tonight's discussion, and along with any new updates, as well as any new investigations he may have uncovered. October 10.
Don't forget, Paul and Ben Eno will be joining us that night also.
Is that a definite?
That is a definite.
Okay.
And also, it is our 2-year anniversary show. We gotta mention that.
It is. It is. We haven't decided what we're going to do, but it is. October 10. It's been 10 months since we last hosted Betty Andreessen Luca and her husband Bob Luca on Spirit Radio, The Paranormal Experience. And on the 10th, we're going to continue covering their personal UFO abduction testimonies, which are chronicled in several books written by Raymond E. Fowler. October 17. I picked up a book not too long ago because I was so intrigued by the cover, and on it is a shot of some child's doll from yesteryear, a very long time ago, and it's definitely a creepy photo. The name of the book is Haunted Stuff, Demonic Dolls, Screaming Skulls, and Other Creepy Collectibles, written by Stacey Graham. So, and it's that creepy. It is the equivalent of creepy. It makes good on the creep factor. So she will be joining us on the 17th, Stacey Graham. And that wraps up our upcoming guest list.
All right. Okay. So we will go back to tonight's guest on the show, Shane Sirois. Welcome back, Shane.
Welcome back, Shane.
All right.
And we also have on the line right now, we have Chris, who is Shane's client that we have been talking about, and so let's bring her on the air. Good evening, Chris.
Hello, how are you?
We're good. How are you?
Hi, Chris. Welcome to the
Good,
show.
Good. Thank you.
So, Shane, would you like to lead with any questions?
Oh, no. Well, just ask her,
Well, Chris, how is your mother doing now?
She's doing so much better. The night after Shane had left, she had called me. She was in tears, and I said, oh, gee, I said, what's going on? And she says, I can't believe it. I had such a great night last night. It's gone. And she was so happy and flabbergasted that she said, finally something worked. Somebody came in and made it happen, made it go away.
So she was undisturbed that night that Shane came.
Completely. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
100%.
That's impressive.
That is great.
And I said, okay, one step at a time, Mom. I said, I'm really glad this, hopefully this is on its way out, because Shane had specified also that sometimes they do try to come back.
Yeah.
That it just doesn't go completely, and it's up to the individual to keep it away.
They probably try to work you.
Right. And since that day, a couple of times it has tried a little bit here and there, making its presence known. And now she's singing little songs basically in her head. Because I said that's the biggest thing, is do not give it attention.
That's very true. Do not give it attention. Also,
right,
a happy atmosphere.
Right. So she's singing nursery rhymes and, songs that she sang to me as a child.
Oh, neat.
And she also told me she's taking, Shane's advice, and before she goes to bed, she's trying to think of good memories, things that she did when we were kids, or, you know, special places she went with her husband, and, you know, all different kinds of distractions to go to bed with, happy thoughts. Just trying to stay positive and happy. And it has tried a couple of times to come back.
And how she handled it.
Her. But since he came Sunday, not much of anything at all. She's able to sleep through the night. In fact, she said she can't get enough sleep right now.
Oh,
she's sleeping like at 9 o'clock at night and getting up at 10 o'clock. She's like, oh, my God, I can't believe I'm sleeping this long. And I said, well, you need to catch back up on the sleep. And
do you think that she's letting go of the fear factor?
I think with Shane coming in and finally somebody coming in, that
and caring.
Makes sense to her. You know, because she did try the religion, you know, the praying and everything else. But it seemed like a lot of that aggravated the situation, too. It would be quiet for a little while, but then it seemed like it aggravated it, too. And
boy, that's interesting, because I'm sure the audience isn't really aware of that.
Right, and it's ironic because, like I said, since Shane came in, just the information he had given her and myself, because I've stayed with my mother almost a year and a half now.
Really?
On the weekends, just to keep her company and keep her somewhat sane.
Yeah.
Because she's so afraid to be alone. You know, she was so afraid to be alone. And the fear of that happening again. I would sit up at night so she could sleep. Like almost keeping watch for her.
Keeping vigil, yeah.
Yeah.
How long, Chris? Oh, I'm sorry. Just how long has this been happening to her? A year and a half?
This has been going on since her husband passed, not this last March, the year before, so a year and a half. But she's been bothered pretty much. She's always had something with her, she thinks, but it wasn't anything that was really negative or this active. And with his passing is when everything seemed to really ramp up. And she, like Shane said too, you know, now that she was alone and really afraid of being alone and had all this time to think about everything that had gone on, you know, it just gave it more strength and empowered it and so forth. And
that's what I was going to ask.
She's got a pretty good grip on it, though, thanks to you, Shane. I tell you, it's been a long road for the last year and a half, but.
And Lynn, the thing with the religion, the reason why you said you weren't sure if the audience understood it or whatever, the reason why, trying to pray and stuff and use the religion, it seems to aggravate it. And the reason why is because unless we use the religion to find peace in our heart, and to get over these things that are bothering us and consuming our internal dialogue.
It's just superficial, really.
Right. Then the religion, hopefully we want the religion to be able to kind of like wipe our hearts clean and also clear our internal dialogues to more positive things and make us look and see and perceive everything in a more positive way. But if it doesn't, and we're praying for this divine intervention, we're praying for this thing to go away, then we're using we're reaching out into the paranormal for it to fix, and so but what we're doing is it hasn't changed us in our hearts.
You're using it as a tool, and you haven't absorbed it.
But
the meaning of it.
It hasn't fixed the root cause of the interaction, and that is the bad memories, the things that have happened to us, and so if we're just asking religion to please heal my heart, and we're not looking into into our own
ourselves,
inside ourselves and
the change
then by reaching out, and what we do is we send out that message that we're vulnerable and these things will keep coming through. And so because we're reaching in, we're sending ourselves out there spiritually, but we're not fixing or healing ourselves, so we're still vulnerable. So the more we put ourselves out there, the more
you suck it
liable we're able to be attacked by these things, because we're still vulnerable. We haven't changed as a person or internally.
Chris, what were your mother's feelings on the supernatural, on negative and positive entities, angels and demons and whatnot? What was her feeling on that? Did she give it much thought? before this all happened?
I think she has in the past because she's always been a little open towards that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she believes there is life after death, and you know, she was raised Catholic, so she did believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
But she always sensed there was something else around her. And
had she had other paranormal experiences, like other interactions with perhaps spirits or loved ones that had passed?
Yeah, she has with her brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but nothing bad.
Yeah,
like a light brush up against her face, or
Mm-hmm.
you know, something comforting, like a comforting feel, like letting her know that he was there, or you know, that it was okay. He was watching over her.
Yep.
How she
So
put it to me.
I was getting at it. It was part of her belief system, you know, entities and whatnot. So it
Right.
wasn't a total surprise to her.
Right. But she wasn't ready for this
No.
negative. You know, she always had more of a positive. You know, if anything, you know, was around her, it was more of a positive, like just like her mother. She would smell like her mother's perfume.
Oh, interesting.
You know, so
That can be comforting.
loved ones that had passed, sort of like letting you know that they're there and they're watching over you.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a positive feeling. But ever since her husband had passed, this negativity just came out full force.
Well, she must have been very broken up about it, and that.
And I was beside myself because I'm at my home and she's calling me nightly, crying and panicking. It's here, it's this, and I'm dropping everything, running over there with my, you know, trying to get babysitters for my little ones, running over there trying to watch her.
How many
So
groups?
it's been crazy for the last year and a half.
How many groups of people were trying to help intervene and solve this problem?
Well, we had two in particular, but one group specifically had brought in different people that they were associated with,
Mm-hmm.
like mediums and, you know, different parts of the paranormal community, so to speak, I guess. And some of the things that they did were, like, really making me wonder, you know, is this the right thing to be doing? Because I'm thinking in my heart that this is amping up everything.
Oh dear.
You know, some of the ways that they went about doing things, with salting doorways and just really weird little things
ritual
that
type things. Yeah.
They're rituals, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And I really didn't have a good feel about any of them.
Huh.
And then, like Shane said, he was at a book signing in Milford, and a friend of mine had gone there, and they knew what, you know, I was going through with my mom. And he took a picture and got the information and everything, and he says, call. You have to call this guy. He sounds really good. Maybe he can help you. And just out of our first conversation, I had a feel, just from what Shane had said to me and everything, how he went about handling things. I had a really good feel, and I called my mom. I said, I think this guy is honestly going to be able to help you. And he did.
That's fabulous.
And she is beside herself. She is so thankful, so am I.
Oh, that's
that
terrific.
This is all subsiding, and it's basically right now in her hands.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to her to keep that mind frame.
It's hard, but
way. Right.
At least she knows now. Shane's going to be back in about a month, so we'd really love to have a progress report.
Oh, sure.
Wonderful. And you, how is your family? Are you undisturbed?
I have my little things every now and then. But no, I don't let anything get to me.
That's
no,
good.
Yeah.
With the
No,
paranormal.
I had a pretty level head, and I don't, you know, dwell on anything like that. Even going over to my mother's house, everybody was saying to me to be careful that nothing attached itself to me, you know, because everybody's like, if something's going to attach to you and come home to your home. But I'm a pretty strong-willed person.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, it's not. It's staying over there.
No.
I'll be kicking it out.
I
Not
won't allow
coming
that.
home, no. I have a full house, no thank you. But,
Good point.
Yeah. But I do thank you so much, Shane, and my mother thanks you, I know, from the bottom of her heart. And as long as she keeps, the information that you had given her to work with, and keeps up the good work, and I know for a fact this will stay away, and that, she'll be able to lead a healthy, happy life.
Absolutely.
And that's all I want for her.
Yeah, and thank you.
That's great.
You guys are going to do you're a great team together. So
thank you.
And you guys have even before me coming in there,
Loving rapport.
Yeah, but a better understanding than some people that run around doing paranormal investigation.
Yeah.
So I mean, they really do. They're gonna be just fine. I'm so confident in them being totally clear and totally happy and positive and problem free. Like we said, these things might kind of try to regain that connection every once in a while, but if we just now we know how to kick their butts and we eliminate the attention, the fear, the obsession, the negativity. We just keep those things out of the mix, and we're problem free, and they're doing a good job.
Exactly. Thank you.
You must say hello to your mother for us, and we're so glad she's doing better.
She's probably listening right now.
Oh, wonderful. And we'd like an update in about a month, Chris.
Okay, great.
Okay.
And we thank you. We thank you very much for calling in tonight and
Yes.
talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
All right,
honesty.
Thanks again, Shane.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
Good night, Chris.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's an incredible story.
It is. It is.
It was.
It's a lot to overcome.
Yes, yeah. It's it never gets old. I've helped people like them so many times, and some more severe cases and some less, but still, when you can get progress every time, and you can get these people closure to not only their paranormal situation, these entities that are affecting them, but you also get to heal them in another part of their life that's been affecting them for so long.
Yeah.
So you see them smiling for multiple reasons. So you can't just sometimes in these cases, these negative cases, you just can't put the whole puzzle together unless you have all the pieces, and most of these investigators are out there with just a piece or two. You have to know how to hit it at all angles to put that whole puzzle together and to make it a beautiful picture.
At the beginning, it was mentioned that perhaps there were two parasites, or do you feel that there was just one?
She had mentioned that there was one in the bed and then one walking around the bed.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, and that's a common thing,
I didn't know if it happened at two different times, but it was happening concurrently then.
Yeah. The other case that we'll probably talk about in October was initially reported to me as having two entities there too. So we might be thinking about that, but
well, with this case here, you have this typical theory about different physical layouts of the land that seem to that are involved. Were there any rivers or streams around this house?
She lives right near the ocean, like a block or two away from the ocean.
Really, the ocean?
Usually the rivers and streams are usually the ones, and I'm sure there's got to be some of that around there, but even with lakes and oceans and stuff like that, there's a different type of activity with waves that are directed towards a property or whatever, as opposed to the I've been able to like break it down, like rivers and streams that
are divergent.
Yeah, they go towards the property and kind of like
Split
bend
off.
away. They have one type of activity, and then like lakes or oceans or whatever with waves that kind of like are directed towards that property have a different type of activity that allow different types of things. And there was only one case I've ever done where there was all this activity taking place, and I'm looking around and I'm like, I've been doing this way too long, and this your case should have a river, stream, or water body nearby, but I don't see any. And I might have mentioned this on your show before, but they said, Shane, there's a river running right underneath our house.
Yeah, that's right.
They had it X-rayed, and there was a big river underneath this rock form, the bedrock and all that.
That's amazing.
So,
we're fine.
oh.
Yeah, we got about 3 minutes.
Yeah, a couple. Well,
Oh no! I heard someone knocking. I thought.
Well, let me just ask you the sleep paralysis and And what's the other one? Regular paralysis and sleep paralysis. I've had both. One was someone talking to me and I couldn't move. And the only thing I could move were my eyelids. And I didn't know what it was. And I was trying to swear at it and I couldn't.
Yeah.
So what I did is I turned around and started praying and it dissipated.
Yeah.
But that was just the sleep paralysis. Well, the paralysis. The other thing was the duality of the hallucination coming out of a dream but not being able to fully come out of it, and you can't move.
Right.
And you know you're caught between these two dimensions.
Right.
That is a very strange experience.
It is.
And there's a difference between that and the other one, which is very conscious. I was very conscious. The other one was the split duality, the split consciousness. And I had a hard time breaking it.
Mm-hmm.
It probably took no more than a minute, but it seemed like forever.
Right.
So what do you think that is a result of?
Well, they're both. There's different levels in which we're going to experience our sleep paralysis. I've had, sometimes where you said it's a little bit more mild, and other times where there was one time where I thought there were. This sounds funny, but like we said, we're hallucinating too because we still have that kind of in effect.
Well, it was coming out of a dream that I couldn't bring myself out of the dream.
Right, and I've had that too. And then one time I knew I was awake, but I thought they were like intruders trying to, they're coming up the stairs and they were going to get me, and I was a grown man and very, able to take care of myself, but I couldn't move. And so it was, another time, I woke up and I was having it and I thought we were having an earthquake. I actually felt like I was being jerked around and I could hear like a deep humming, like, row, 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 and I was freaking out. But the easiest way to get yourself out of it, like you said, you prayed. Now, what I did was I concentrated on my breathing, and I told myself, this is sleep paralysis. Calm down, relax, and you work right out of it. But if you fight it, it seems to be harder, and you stay in it longer. But I am still not fully convinced that it all has a clinical explanation, because one time I had it, I felt like there was something coming at me, and I ended up feeling like I was being pulled off a couch. And then when I woke up, I ended up going, falling back asleep. And when I woke up, I was on the other side of a coffee table. So I had cleared the coffee table and ended up on the other side, continued my sleep on the floor, and woke up. So
that is odd.
Yeah. So I'm not fully convinced there's not something weird to it, but these things don't affect, if these entities or whatever, they don't mess with me. They seem to be afraid, but if they're going to mess with me, I guess you might as well do it while I'm asleep, because
they can levitate you.
And on that note, you know what time it is. We're out of time again. It's the end of the
show.
I know it.
It's always too short.
I know it.
Well, we thank you again, Shane. And
it's been a pleasure.
And Shane will be back next month.
That's right, the 3rd of October.
3rd, yep.
Thank you very much.
Well,
can't wait.
And thank you for joining us. Is any websites or anything you want to give out?
Yeah, trueghost.com, TRUEGHOST, trueghost.com. That's, you can get some information about me, contact information, and also I'll be posting a list of lectures I'll be doing throughout the next month and two, September and October. Actually, some into December too. So.
Great.
And if you want me to speak at an event too, contact me.
Excellent. Okay. And I understand you plan to work on a book.
I am working on the book right now.
That's what a little birdie told me.
Yep. It's going to be very different. It's something that hasn't been written about yet, and so it's going to be my unique angle that I've been waiting for, and I'm like, here it is. I've been trying to think, like, I want to write a book. I want it to be different, but I don't want it to be the same type of thing, but I don't want to give out certain secrets of mine. And then all of a sudden a light went off in my head a couple of weeks ago.
You know how to do it now?
I know how to do it now. I know
how to
what to write about.
present it. And
so I won't give it away because I don't want anyone to try to beat me to the punch. But,
but we will look
forward to hearing about it.
And
excellent.
Maybe when it does come out, you'll break it right here on Spirit Radio.
There we go.
Okay, thank you very much, Shane.
Thank you, Shane.
And that is Spirit Radio, the paranormal experience. One more week, and Craig is coming right up with the Graveyard Shift.
That's right. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Good night.